when I started name dropping, like talking about people like Nipsey Hussle, I'm gonna say something like, you know,
live, son.
When he was distant fam, and I got recorded conversations with the man. I'm far from the stand. He was one of those people who you get on the phone expecting to speak to a fucking idiot gangster, and you wind up talking to a genius that was trapped in certain circumstances. I'll have to listen to the conversation back. I have not. That's one thing. After the interview, I never. Reached out to me.
All right, we got Peace God, Melissa Davis. Everybody make sure they do the Each One Teach One real quick. Hit that like button. Before we get into everything today, I want to say peace to my brother All Divine. I just got news that the brother returned to the Essence. Like, I don't know what the science is. I don't know what occurred, how it occurred, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I didn't know him to be sick. It's possible that he was, but you know what? Somebody's just hearing me right now talking about this, man. But somebody just hit me right now about the same science, man. But yeah, All Divine, that was definitely one of my good brothers right there from Medina, you know. You know, when I get a little more information, I'll let y'all know, but that's definitely somebody right there. We're gonna have to show up. We're gonna have to show up, man, to make sure that people see how much we love the guy All Divine. You know, he definitely was one of us. Him and his physical. But that was a blow right there for me to get that news. You know, actually as soon as I was getting up, I heard that. So that was, but yeah, man, the guy was definitely somebody that, you know, he was about the large mathematics, you know what I'm saying, teaching it and showing and proving it. You know what I'm saying? Being a part of everything that was going on, you know, participating. Definitely was always an asset to the nation. That is, you know, the last couple of years has been rough. It's getting rougher. All right, we got the God C, Free to Be Me, Atif. Divine Truth came in. It's crazy out here. But you know, as we must do, we gotta continue to teach on, you know what I'm saying, and pick up the slack. You know what I'm saying? Love comes in his own good time and take the devil off the planet. You know, we choose that time for ourselves by choosing what our activity is. So that's something right there. Brilliant elevation. Rob Bourne just came in. But yeah, you gotta stay healthy out of it. That's what I'm saying. I don't even know what happened with All Divine. You know, it wasn't like he was like a, you know, like I said, I didn't even know him to be sick or nothing like that. So we see what's going on with that, man. But you know, in the meantime, or not in the meantime, but getting into what the live was about, you know, I was looking at the news and you know, I saw this thing about the NYPD and the FBI. Some new letter came out that I guess details a conspiracy between the NYPD, or that included the NYPD and the FBI, in the assassination of Malcolm X. We really just came on today, man. You know, at first I was just giving a shout out to the brother All Divine. He returned to the essence yesterday. I don't know what happened yet, but that was the first order right there of business. And then you know, like I said, we gotta continue to teach on. So I saw this story right here. Did anybody else see this? Apparently, an NYPD officer wrote a letter. This was covered in the Post today by a Mr. Jesse O'Neill. And the article says Malcolm X family has released a letter it says was written by a deceased New York cop claiming the NYPD and FBI were behind the 1965 Harlem assassination of the civil rights activist. Malcolm X was gunned down at the Audubon Ballroom in Manhattan a year after breaking ranks with the Nation of Islam. 3 members of the Black separatist group were convicted in the shooting. On Saturday, some of Malcolm X's daughters released a letter attributed to a former undercover NYPD officer, Raymond Wood, at the site of the former hotel on 165th Street. The family members were joined by Reggie Wood, a cousin of the late officer. In the letter, Raymond Wood allegedly wrote that NYPD supervisors pressured him into luring 2 members of Malcolm X's security details into committing crimes that led to their arrest in the days before the activist was slain. The letter said the arrest provided the chance for lax door security at the hotel ballroom and were part of a conspiracy between federal investigators and New York police to have Malcolm killed. Under the direction of my handlers, so this is the letter, Raymond Wood is speaking right here. Under the direction of my handlers, I was told to encourage leaders and members of the civil rights groups to commit felonious acts. Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance said last year that his office would reopen the case to investigate the long-held contentions by some historians and scholars that the wrong suspects were arrested for the slaying. In the wake of the letter, Vance's office released a statement saying its review of this matter is active and ongoing. The NYPD said it is cooperating with the prosecutor's effort. Then it says here, the NYPD has provided all available records relevant to that case to the district attorney. The department remains committed to assist with that review in any way. The FBI declined comment. So what y'all think about that right there? What is You know, again, like I said, we're getting a lot of news coming out. Peace God. So they saying that was it Judas. I mean, for me, I mean, how much, you know, like what is new here? You missed that one, Don Bishop? Yeah, check it out. It's in the New York Post. Who's the attorney? Atif, who you talking about? Hopefully, if it's Crump, they already lost. I don't. Oh, Rob Bourne did a show on this already. But what is the meaning of these types of stories that's coming out right now? Born Jamel said there's footage of Reggie Wood being promoted from rookie policeman to detective third grade. It's on YouTube under the title Plot to Destroy Statue of Liberty. He is at the end of the footage. They hide his face. Gene Roberts and Ray Wood were rolling together. Who's Gene Roberts? Isn't that the bodyguard? He's somebody's security or something, right? So this was a deathbed confession that the Raymond Wade guy made. So Crump, who's Crump? First of all, who is Crump representing? And why would anyone let Crump represent them? That's, to me, that's wild stuff right there. Yeah, Malcolm security was they appear shaky. They appear shaky in the when they recount what happens, they appear really, really shaky. Why you Don Bishop said, so do you mean to say that it wasn't the Honorable Elijah Muhammad who orchestrated the death of Malik Shabazz? I mean, it's one of the things where I say, look, I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that seems clear to me is that there was cooperation. Like it wasn't one or two people that was sitting at the table having a beer and just said, yo, you know what? Malcolm got to go. Exactly who all the players was, I couldn't tell you, but it's some things that happen that can't happen in a vacuum. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for me, saying that the government conspired against people, to, take their life, liberty, pursue the happiness, property, et cetera, it's not like a wild, we don't have to stretch the imagination to see that as being true. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, it's pretty much, it's saying, I guess it's a confirmation of what I already thought. Right, brilliant innovation. That's what I'm talking about. Like when you're looking at the Fred Hampton movie, you know what I'm saying? You look at some of the other ways that, just news stories that's been covered. What is the meaning? What is the meaning of that? Is there, is it just, because it could be that where you're dealing with a situation where there's more brothers and sisters in position now, meaning at these news organizations, brothers that's writers in the different websites and blogs, etc., so that some things might get covered that may not have gotten covered in the past. Or is it some type of idea, right, that they're using this information to try to plant the seed of in our minds? So Born Jamel said Gene Roberts was the agent on Malcolm X. He is present at the assassination. He is also one of the founding members of the New York chapter of Black Panthers. He testified against his own squad. Oh, this is the dude. Oh, right, the Panther 21. So this was the dude who was, he was like the leader of it. And that's how the Panther 21 got off, is that in the end, they proved that he was the only one that really made the whole conspiracy. So yeah, I know who this guy is, but I didn't know him by name. You see, that's what I'm saying. When you got this many players, it's just one of the things where a lot of people had a hand in that. You know what I'm saying? It's, for me, it's not a smoking gun where it's like, oh, well, now that we found this letter, that means that none of this other stuff happened. The fact is that in that season that they was existing in, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the 60s and the 70s in general, that season that they existed in, right? When you was telling the truth at that time, there was a lot of people that would be upset with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard, at least for me, to pinpoint it. You know what I'm saying? And it's not gonna change nothing for me personally. You know what I'm saying? Like if they come out tomorrow and say, look, this is the video, we got everything on audio and videotape. These are the specific FBI agents right here that did it, right? What's that going to change? I'm saying for me, maybe for other people, maybe they looking for the closure or whatever. I could understand that, but just like Rob Bourne was saying, a deathbed confession, it's not like, you really trying to come to justice or whatever, you putting this information out there, I mean, now for his family, you know what I'm saying? But that's another level of relationship with Malcolm, you know what I'm saying? But in terms of who he was and what he represented, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to change nothing for me. So Free to Be Me said they playing with our emotional vibrations. The wordsmith. Brain Elevation said it's COINTELPRO. Almighty. It's been a minute. What's the deal? So Free to Be Me said after February, you won't hear about it anymore. So you think that this stuff is, they just, all of this is coming out now. All of this stuff is coming out now because it's Black History Month? I'm not questioning whether you're right. I'm saying, add on. Because to me, it is something about the, kind of the rapid succession that this stuff is coming out. You know what I'm saying? Then I hear that next year they're coming out with the new Black Panther movie. So is this all leading up to that, like a commercial hit? What is the science with all this knowledge that's coming out? And how much are we? We still got to provide some context, because that's one of the reasons why this stuff comes out at this time, is because now the whole context is lost. You see, right now, if they come out and say, look, this is what happened to John Kennedy. All right, the context is lost because, most of the people that was around when that happened, they not around now. Like, even if you was in elementary school when that happened, you close to 70 now. And so, how much did you really realize what happened? You know what I'm saying? The context is lost, which is, Rob Bourne, we had another live where we were speaking about the dude from Nigeria. The dude that said he wanted to abolish Black History Month. And as somebody who was never really a fan of Black History Month, for the first time when he said that, I realized what the importance of it is. Is that you got to continue to say these facts, right, concerning history, and to give it the context. You see what I mean? Because if he could come and say he wants to abolish it, and then the reasons that he gave, it shows that, history that I take for granted, right? That I'm like, man, you're just giving me 28 days to deal, in a lot of the stuff that comes out. It's like, yeah, I've been hearing this stuff for decades. But I realize now, you know what I'm saying? It's very important. You know what I'm saying? Not just for us, but, now that, our numbers, like when the lessons first said the 17 million, that 17 million was mostly us. It was mostly brothers that, they shared a common history. It's probably 99%, 98% is people who share the common history of being over here, in the wilderness of North America. But, now that, we got all other brothers and sisters in the midst, I guess that increases the value of Black History Month, But, that's a question I have too, like, the context that you kind of putting it out there now, we've overcome all of this, racism and Jim Crowism in our past. We've overcome all that. And so now, we can put this kind of thing out. Are we still, are we still in that frame of mind, right, of really understanding who Malcolm X is and what he meant, so that now, it's not that upsetting. See, that part would be our fault. That part would be our fault for not, you know, continuing to, contextualize, or make sure that whatever comes out about it is contextualized the right way. Peace God said, who is causing all this to happen? In fact, all that above is caused by the true and living God continuing daily to teach civilization to all the human families. Absolute Boss Collective, welcome to the channel. Rome J. Kendall Rowling. Almighty God Allah said he was a loose end, and therefore the only way to speak complete truth is anonymously or posthumously. To me, that's positive and negative, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been, 60 years, man. What's that, 55, 56 years? And you just saying something now. And so, like I said, I don't know how to really take it. God said, his divine said, did Yaqub build prison houses to imprison his people? Or when they fell victim to the law, the penalty was death and was enforced on every victim. Who was the laws created for? Which laws you talking about? On the island of Patmos? The law was created for them. Matter of fact, where's L7? L7 had a question about the term God body, and also what's the other brother? Tony Montana was asking a question about he had a question about something that I said in terms of we all got our own history of Quran that we write. You know what I'm saying? They got, because he was speaking specifically about us being over here in the wilderness of North America, right? Now, this is what I'm saying. For instance, right now, we're talking about Malcolm X, right? Malcolm X not in the Bible. Malcolm X not in the Quran. That's some other people's story from way back at a time and a place. Don Bishop, he can tell you more about the time and the place than I can. You know what I'm saying? But right now, we here in this time, in this place. And the same things, you know what I'm saying? People being delivered from bondage, et cetera, all the stuff that was going on in the Bible is going on right here for us, right? But it's based upon the people that, if, depending on if you're paying attention, the people that you hearing their stories this month, about how they participated in the fight for freedom, justice, and equality for original people. So, he was saying that, if the original man wrote the Bible or Quran, I'm talking about, the King James Version and the the book of the followers of Muhammad, I'm saying, right? That's our history. It's not my history. What part is in there? What part is in there that somebody would think would be me? But if Tony Montana comes on, I guess he could clarify his question. L7 usually comes on. We're gonna wait for L7 to come in so we can deal with his question. One Jamel said the trendy heads won't care after this month. And that's another issue that I've thought of, or another angle that I've thought of is that we could just tell, how quickly we forgot just the events of last summer. Like just last summer, the fall, everything, the spring, the summer, the fall, everybody's out in the streets protesting all types of injustice, right? All types of inequality. And, pretty much largely right now, all of that's gone. I'm saying even in terms of, look, you got the new administration in office. Look, these are examples, when you talk about all the stuff that was being protested, these are the examples of things that's like, okay, this happened. We don't want this to happen no more. This is the kind of legislation that we need either put on the books, or this is the legislation that we need taken off the books, right? So that we could deal with justice and equality on that. But you don't see no part of the politicking that's going on right now is angled towards that. Urban Gorilla, Kendall Rowland, West Coast Wise, Supreme Divine. Peace God said Black History Month has had the ability to empower the so-called powerless mentality, a great way to thought that is flashing different content with the tempered context of the same events. I mean, I guess it does empower, like I said, a lot of the information, what I'm saying, a lot of the knowledge that is given out, I took for granted, what I'm saying, that, everybody knows this stuff, but you gotta think of a bigger picture than that. One Jamal said they're about to treat Fred Hampton like they did Che Guevara, put him on a T-shirt while doing counterintelligence to counter what he stood for, negate what he stood for. I think it's something to watch. You know what I'm saying? It's something to watch. Divine understanding. Shaquem. I think it's something to watch in terms of these different stories that they coming out telling right now and how they telling them. Wise son. Anthony Samuels. What did you say here, Don Bishop? A little over 17 million is not us. Those are Muslim sons. What are you talking about? Anthony Samuels says they just confirming what the brother Malcolm family and close associates said that they already knew, just with no way to completely prove it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is one of them types of things. Like, you know, who didn't know that y'all was down with that? You know, I guess it's news to the union. I don't know. Almighty said, what are we actually dealing with is what's the devil's term as narcissism or narcissist in 1914. What you mean in what aspect are we dealing with that? I didn't know that term was coined in 1914. Kendall Rowland said, I don't like Black History Month either, but the only way I would agree to abolish Black History Month is if Black history is included as at least 50% of the American public school curriculum. You know, I don't know. I would say, you know, after having that experience of watching the speech of the guy that wanted to abolish it, you know, is very important. You know what I'm saying? Not just that the history is included, right? But the telling of the history. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was back in the days, there was a term, the term for like a turncoat was Benedict Arnold. But there was a dude, Benedict Arnold. And Benedict Arnold was famous because he betrayed the American army in the Revolutionary War. Like they owed him some money. They owed him some money, and because they wasn't paying him, then he switched from the American side to the British side. And so, you know, that was his claim to fame. He actually was a good general. Like he was the only one that was winning battles in the Revolutionary War at first. You know what I'm saying? And so he was highly valuable to the American military, right? Or the Revolutionary Army, you know, whatever they was called at that time, you know. So he's included in our history, right? Or in the history that they give in the American public school. But like I said, he's known as a traitor. Now, eventually, somehow or another, I came to find out how he was included in the British history. And in the British history, he's a hero. Like they have a national holiday, Benedict Arnold Day, and he has statues up all over. And so, you know, that's what I've come to see now is the most important thing about Black History Month. Is that we get a chance to tell the stories, put them in the right context, right? Designate who's the villains and who's the heroes. Everybody do each one, teach one, hit that like button for me. You said similar to the lady in Emmett. Who's Emmett? Who's the lady? Yeah, that was rough, man. Uncle Ben's, Free to Be Me said reparations are nothing. Pacifiers and rattles. Black Lives Matter, right? Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, after all these years, just crumbs. I mean, yeah, that was these things, and like I said, some things you gotta fall back. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, understanding that different people, they get affected by things differently. You know what I'm saying? Now for me, it's like, yeah, you took Aunt Jemima off the box, you took Uncle Ben off the box, but we just saw the video that I posted, about the brother getting beat up on the train station, right here in New York, the brother being killed for jaywalking out in California. So if these things are still happening, look, is sometimes for me, it's a little bit of a perspective in terms of, all right, what do I really want? What is my goal here? Like right now, I'm saying, let's say somebody give you $50 million. Are you going to give it back and say, nah, I don't want this because it got the picture of these racists on it? You know, you got pictures of these racists on it and these slave owners. So nah, I don't want your $50 million. Or you going to take the $50 million and do what you got to do with it. Like there's look, if like brother just said reparations, like if I get my reparations, I don't care if there's a Klan. I don't care. So with these things, Aunt your mama, Uncle Ben. I mean, I could see. I'm not gonna say, uh, there's no truth to the people who protest that type of thing. But I'm just saying, in terms of first things being first and last things being last, right? And that's understanding progress. These things, to me, they don't seem like progress. 793rd. Bishop asked, can Malcolm X be attributed or corresponding with John the Baptist in the Bible? He was looked at as being the second coming, born you truth, his own words condemn that. Um, I mean, well, who's Jesus then if he's John the Baptist? And who's God? Jarrell Boylan. Almighty said island of Patmos is surface value. It's the anterior insular in the brain. From 0 to 9, it develops a certain way. Insular means island. You have to break that down for me. So the anterior means the front. The posterior is the back. So the anterior insular means isolated. Yeah, you got to break that down for me out. You know, they developed this is some new stuff that they teach in school now that I wasn't there when they started getting into that. Free to be me said Malcolm, Martin, Fred, George Floyd. We should have kept the fire going. Yeah, you know, but see, that's another aspect of these types of things. You know, meaning, you know, there's certain things you can't stop. Right? And so what you try to do is you try to guide it. You know, you try to control it in a way that is beneficial, you know, for you. You know, the person who can't do this.
You gotta eat that.
There's certain people who you know, who's gonna be harmed by whatever movement that gets rolling. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of a part of it, you know, in terms of if we only responding to these stories that become popular. You know what I'm saying? Like the George Floyd thing was pretty, you know, real time because the way it was filmed on the cell phone and all that, you know, that came out pretty quickly. But a lot of these other situations, if you notice, we're not hearing about them for months later, sometimes years later. It's when it really gets, you know, some type of media coverage. Now, all of a sudden, we in a frenzy. And see, these things happen right around us, right? But when they happen around us, we be like, oh yeah, them young kids, they be wilding now. You know, that's something that is you know, a part of the American culture, like the way, you know, the celebrity, you know, fame culture and all of that, where, you know, you could hear that somebody died that's famous, right? And you react to that more than you react to people in your own family that died. Like right now, you go on people's Instagram, right? And you're gonna see Kobe, you're gonna see Cicely Tyson. And look, shout out to Kobe, Cicely Tyson. You know, Kobe's daughter. Shout out to all these people. You understand what I'm saying? Especially with Kobe's daughter. But at the same time, there's the people in your family that return to the essence. And all the time you had Instagram, nobody in your family returned. You know, you might have put one RIP up there. But now every anniversary for Kobe, you put that up there. And like I said, I'm not saying that to belittle his situation, but I'm just saying that this happens to us every day, but we don't notice until somebody put that statistic out there. Oh, this many million young brothers is locked up. Get out of here. This is racism. I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm saying that it's happening with your cooperation because you're choosing to remain blind to it. You only want to acknowledge it if, it gets into the papers. Like remember the brother not too long ago, I think the brother's name was Karan, or some of that nature. The brother was down, I think, in Texas. He was somewhere in a white lady and her son picked him up in the car, and then the next thing they found him dead. He was drowned in a sugarcane field. So, that's something to look at. Is that a part of the strategy that's like, oh, well, now we covered that story? Oh, yeah, that happened, but now we covered that story. That don't mean nothing was done about it, but they covered the story. Well, yeah, now we got an indictment. We got an indictment on that. You didn't get no conviction. So I think that's a part of us keeping the fire going. That, we hear about the people that wore the nice suits, right? And spoke the eloquent, flowery language. We hear about them all the time. But see, the everyday foot soldiers, we don't hear about them, the stuff that's happening day to day. It's not going to be a new Malcolm X every day. It's not going to be a new Martin Luther King or Fred Hampton, people that got that, the way, one thing that was so, stood out about George Floyd's situation was that you saw the whole thing, graphically right there. It wasn't like you heard the report and, these things was the case. Like, no, you saw it right there. You heard it. Up close, like, when you saw Rodney King, you just saw a person there, like, you could see the whites of his eyes. So, for me, that's a part of keeping the fire going, is realizing that, we can't respond, only to those things that's being televised. Supreme Divine said it's below zero. You mean below 0 degrees Fahrenheit? And you outside walking around. Hold on, let me try to catch up here. L7, yeah, we're gonna get into the God body science. Hold on, let me catch up on these comments. and then we'll get to your question at L7. Almighty said the two germs are narcissistic and empathetic. The separation was genetic, as narcissistic personality disorder needs a genetic predisposition in an uncontrolled environment, thus the hillsides and caves. So we're saying that the wisdom build degree is about narcissism and empathy? Right, Atif makes a good point here. You know, that if we don't tell the stories, right, and we don't, tell the stories of the ordinary foot soldiers that are heroes, right, then in the future, you will have people that think that Black Americans' contribution to society was athletics and entertainment. And even when you look at the list of Black billionaires, you know what I'm saying? The most of the people you see on there is athletes and entertainers. You know, you got some people who is captains of industry, et cetera, who got to where they at from education and hard work on that level. Not saying that if you're an entertainer, you don't have to work hard to get what you got, but these is the only stories that's ever told. If this is what Black History Month comes to amount to. Anthony Samuels made a statement here. Carter G. Woodson started Black History Month. In fact, I think he started Black History Week, and it was expanded to a month. Right, Kendall Rowland said Carter G. Woodson started it. At first, it was just Black History Week. Anthony Samuels said it started off as Black History Week before it was announced to be Black History Month by President Ford in the year 1976. Okay, that explains a lot. Be righteous. What you say here? Don Bishop asked, so in regards to us growing as a nation, if the 5% are not growing as a nation, are we becoming stagnant? If we are doing our duty, we should be more than 5% since 1964. Well, no, I don't understand what you mean. He said today's the 87th anniversary of February 21st, 1964. It's not been 87 years since 1964. Okay, so Almighty says the anterior insular is the miniature minister in the brains of those diagnosed with what they call narcissistic personality disorder, which is a genetic lack of empathy. All right, in a minute, I'm gonna put the link up so you can come in and you gotta break that down. So Almighty says racism doesn't exist. It never did. The only thing that exists is narcissism. We have to go beyond the surface. All right, you take us beneath the surface. Who's Mark D? Who's Mark D, VC Realm? Crownstone. Almighty God Allah said, what is called racism is a cover for what was manufactured. It is only a symptom of what even the devil admits himself daily. Kendall Rowland said the anniversary of the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre, Black Wall Street, is coming up soon as well. And they still have not made things right for that. And some of those people are still alive. Peace God said, social means to advocate, media means the main means of mass communication, broadcasting, publishing, and the internet regarded collectively. Social media is another way to pump manipulation to the masses for the purpose of maneuvering minds through programming. Okay, so Almighty God Allah said the chromosome associated with empathy is the 8th chromosome. And Don Bishop made a correction. He said it's the 57th anniversary since 1964. All right, but what's the significance of that? Now, L7, you still there? Where's L7? I'm caught up over here. I'm about to drop the link in here. I'm about to drop the link in here for anybody to come in and clarify some of their points that they're making. But yeah, that's the 8th chromosome. L7, you still there? See, I'm starting to learn now with the Zoom. There's a little more. There's a little more lag time. All right. So L7 asked a question about the term God body. You know, that was a term that originated in the penitentiary from people saying, like brothers is writing home, right? And they're informing the brothers that's outside that inside, the brothers is unified, one mind and one body. So like when you in school and they say the student body, that means all of the students together. You know what I'm saying? Any decision that they make, or plan that they execute it as one body. Then you asked the term, wait a minute, what was your question here? To my app here. You asked the question concerning he said, so the 5% were in one mind and one body before the name God body came about. So Allah didn't father the God body. So do we consider ourselves God body? Are the NGE and the God body one and the same? Well, did I explain? Did I explain? Like, is there still a question in there? Because I mean, that's the origin of it. You still there, L7? Oh, is anybody in the background? Almighty, are you coming on to drop the science on us about the 8th chromosome? You said, what did they do when they come home? Throw away the title. I mean, I don't understand. Like, I mean, when you come home, you're a part of what's going on in the free world. So you say, La Illuminati, what's the deal? What's the question? You just, something happened. They took your comment away right there. L7. Almighty said the limbic system keeps many wallowing in their emotional thinking as the arm, legs, and limbs, as well as the head, until one frees oneself through the neocortex, which is the original thinking. Okay. Can you take us to the beginning of this? I just don't, you got to fill me in on the beginning. Like, how did we get into the limbic system? You said Patmos is the anterior insular brain. I mean, we gotta, can we start from the beginning? Who is the colored man? All right, L7 said, just asking because I never heard of the father giving birth to God body. Prince Divine, welcome to the channel. I mean, is your question Rastafari DNA said we have used the term God body since the Bill ciphers when I was in my teens and early 20s. 704 Joe said, example, people in the 60s called the Muslims black Muslims, same as people calling us God body. We understand the term. Yeah, I was, waiting on you in the what's the name? Hold on, let me put the link up here again for you. I mean, this kind of idea, like when you said you never heard of Allah giving birth to God body, I'm not really sure what the significance of that is. You know what I'm saying? You said it seems everybody got a different history concerning them. All right, I think I might know what you mean now. Nah. See, this is all just different terminologies that people picked up at different times. And people, you pick up a terminology and you run with it. Allah never gave birth to no group of people called the Almighties either. But you hear brothers say peace almighty with each other. Allah never gave birth to the great minds, but you hear brothers saying peace, great mind to each other. Like all of these things where people trying to make a word be a difference in the nation is devilish. And that could possibly be why you being confused. What I'm telling you is that all this different stuff that you heard, right? I never got no memo on any of it. So when I see you, I'm gonna treat you just the same. You say you NGE, you can say you 5%, you can say you God body, whatever the case may be. I'm gonna ask you what the degrees be about. See, that's where the confusion comes in at. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, when certain terminologies came about, Nah, the term God body was not being used when the law was walking around in the street. You know what I'm saying? But the idea that that's some different group of people, no, that's false. You know what I'm saying? It was just a terminology. So you gotta remember too, right? That even as an entire nation, right? You're talking about 57 years. You know what I'm saying? So just like as an individual person, right? You growing and developing. You growing through your, your childhood and your adolescence and all of these things, and your mentality, your mindset, your attitude towards everything and how you deal with things, right? Matures. And so, at one time, or for all of us, right? We come into the knowledge, and brothers is speaking, they using terms that you don't normally hear. At least at that time, you didn't normally hear people walking around talking about, even the supreme mathematics itself. Like, brothers wasn't going around talking about wisdom, civilization. These was words that you heard them before, but these wasn't words that was in common usage. And you hear, people putting things in an educated way, and so you want to put things in an educated way. And you still a baby, so some things like, yeah, that sounds good. You still react on the basis of that. So you hear somebody say God body, right? And then you pick it up. And so there's a lot of things that, you judging now with your adult mind. But these is things that get manifested all the time. You know what I'm saying? So Almighty said the brainstem is the knowledge, the limbic system is the wisdom, the neocortex is where the understanding is manifest or undermined, as in Yakub's grafted narcissist. The term color goes back to the term, what he says goes back to the term, it says here, I guess you skipped over something. Britain means of this color and or distortion, perversion, corruption, handcraft. The narcissist paint white what he calls superior, and black is what he paints as inferior. Do your own research, as I did. Nah. You gotta stop listening to you. So you can't just tell me something and then tell me go do the research. For that, I might as well listen to Reverend Ike or whatever other preacher it is. You're gonna tell me what is it that you're saying? Where do you research this kind of stuff? Where's these books at? Where's the, because in this what you're saying, I mean, you got to make something interesting to send me to go research. If you got to say something where I'm like, let me, yeah, I'm curious about that. Nah, I'm, as it stood when I came on the live tonight, I was under the impression that I understand what the story of Yakub is about. So I mean, if you got something to add it on. But if you're just gonna, throw a bomb in the middle of the floor and then tell everybody to go research it. So Anthony Samuel said, if Saheem or Brown C. Shamgar never spoke that way, neither will I. I mean, here's the problem with that. What did Saheem and Brown C. Shamgar say about the internet? You know, what did they say about Instagram? You know, these is kind of two extremes. You know what I'm saying? Where the one extreme is where you pick up all this new stuff that, you find the slightest correlation with. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden now you're trying to introduce this into the science of the 5%. You know what I'm saying? The other extreme is where we try to keep everything the way it was in 1964. See, the issue with that is that everything is changing around us. And so if we don't bring about no change in order to adapt to all those different things that's changing around us, then we're going to die. Not just us, anything that exists. Every era has their things, right, that they do that didn't exist before that. Like it's things that the firstborn start doing, even when the law was in Mattawan, there was things that brothers started doing, right, that they wasn't doing that before. As far as I'm concerned, we all still writing this history. We all still writing this history right now. And so, yeah, do we need to come together and, put our wise minds together and say, okay, we decide, right, as one mind and one body, right, that we're gonna bring about this change right here. Then we qualified to do that. We Allah. But that's the thing about change. You got to know what to change, when to change it, and how to change it, or it ends up being catastrophic. But I want to hear more about this. Well, I don't know. Almighty God, Allah, if you're going to break it down for us, break it down. But, other than that, Don Bishop says, so with that being said, some knowledge wasn't in use when the Father walked on the physical earth. Is it fair to say that this knowledge 120 has been mixed, diluted, and tampered with? No, maybe yours is mixed, diluted, and tampered with. But I told you I didn't change mine. Yeah, I still got the 12 trillion, 478 billion, 118 million, 400,000 inches. You said if everyone can draw the lessons up their own way, not adding on, but adding their own. I mean, you're supposed to do that when you get to your understanding. Like that was clear cut. That was clear cut. I mean, I don't know when it became unclear. But you quote the lessons, right? You know, quote means to repeat it word for word. And then after that, you go into your understanding. But, you know, the lessons tell you what it is. It's 40 questions from Ford answered by Elijah. See, once you change it, it's not 40 questions from Ford answered by Elijah now. And that's not to say that it's not right and exact, but I'm just saying you changed it from what it is. See, when you quote it now, you can't say it was completed in February 20th, 1934. It was completed whenever you made your bullshit and put it in there. Almighty said, I'm not attempting to assert control over anyone. I will add on to it on my own platform. Ain't nobody talking about controlling, man. We talking about building. Like if you come and you manifest some, you know, I'm supposing you saying this is knowledge. Now I gotta suppose because you ain't showing proof. Like we not talking about sporting events where the event ain't happened yet, and I'm telling everybody, look, the Knicks is gonna win. And y'all telling me no, the Nets or the Lakers is gonna win. Okay, we can go through that. That's one thing. Because you can't show and prove who's gonna win anyway. They gonna show and prove who's gonna win when they get on the court and do what they gotta do. That's one thing. But see, what happened to showing and proving? Like, this is something, you know, we gotta be aware, you know, of who we say we are and what we saying we doing. Like, are you saying that to bring about some type of understanding? Are you saying that because it's knowledge that you feel is going to be helpful or useful, you know, to us, you know, to the original people as a whole? Because if that's the case, right, and then you stop telling us because I asked you a question, then you the 10%. Or is it something in which that, again, is your fault? You know what I'm saying? If you introduce us to some science that we not ready for yet. You said, what is proof to one is not proof to another. No, Shamir, I have to lay it down on my own platform. Okay, can you tell me what part of what you said was proof? Because, you know, I haven't even come to a full realization of what some of the principles you're speaking on. Meaning, what is the anterior insular of the brain? Are you talking about the prefrontal cortex? What is? Yeah, you're right about that, Wise. Back in the days, we did, like, the social aspect came later. I'm talking about, like, just in the course of a conversation that you was having with somebody, the social aspect would come in later. You know what I'm saying? In terms of we just, doing what we doing and we having fun or whatever. That always came later. The first order of business was are we all one mind? And we're gonna see that through seeing how on point everybody is with their lessons. This is how we're gonna begin to see it. So Almighty said he has to lay it down on his platform. What is your platform? Because I want to see you break all this down. Has everyone done the each one teach one and hit the like button? If you're new to the channel, subscribe, of course. You still there? You still there, Almighty? What is your platform? Because this and that. What was the other thing that you were supposed to tell us before? Oh yeah, how there was no transatlantic slave trade, and that all the slaves really came from Maryland and Virginia, or was it Massachusetts and Virginia? No, I'm saying, well, what's the name of your channel? Is it Almighty God Allah? I'm not talking about disrespect. I wanna see you break this stuff down. When you do your channel, right? Send me the link so then I can come on there and ask you these questions. Then if you don't want to answer them on this channel. You said Malcolm and the transatlantic slave trade was 1/3 of it. Yeah, wise you. I didn't get into that with Don Bishop, but yeah, this is what you just said about Muslims and Muslim science. That's we were speaking on something else. So where's Malcolm? What Malcolm you talking about? Your channel is anti-echo chamber. Okay, well, in the meantime, until you have your channel, what I would ask is that you refrain from making statements on this on this uh on this channel that you're not ready to show and prove. You said Malcolm was a comorbid narcissist. So does that mean Malcolm was the devil? Atif says, so when I do my nutrition presentation, I don't gotta be examined by the room. I could just do it on my channel. Could have saved myself a few weeks of research. I mean, I suppose. I mean, you still, hey, Almighty God of Allah, is this your righteous name? What's your righteous name? L7, you still there? Did I answer your question, L7? So Almighty God of Allah is your righteous name. And where you from? All right, that's good. L7. If Tony Montana comes in, we could answer Tony Montana's questions too. Where you from, Almighty? True self. Mr. Reeves, what's the deal? Got the old timers in here. Almighty, where you from? We got any other questions before we get into this last part that I was seeing on the news as well, man? You know, New York City is spiraling out of control right now. You right just said when I see 21, I see 3 sevens. True self said wisdom knowledge doesn't born understanding. Yeah, you know, when you put in the wisdom before the knowledge. You know, it's something we experience all the time. A lot of times when you look at things and you like, whoa, it has all of the elements of success. Why is it not being successful? Like you see, you know, knowledge, you see wisdom. Why is it not born in understanding? It's because it's not in the proper sequence. And whenever you see a person, you like, yo, this person, you could be successful at this, and this. You know, from things I've seen you do with my own eyes. You know, I've been there and seen you accomplish certain things. You know, why doesn't it add up to the best part for you? Because they're doing things out of sequence. You know, even if it's just they thought pattern is out of sequence. All right, true self, getting up on the 140. You know, that's great news right there. You know what I'm saying? That's the way the best that ever did it. That's how they did it. You're making great progress. But yeah, you know, it's kind of, you know, I see it going on all around. You know what I'm saying? And in terms of you know, just crazy things going on in society. You know what I'm saying? You know, from coast to coast. But you know, here in New York, you got people just walking up to people and stabbing them and cutting them now, man. It's like Rikers Island. It's like Rikers Island out there. You know, people that don't even know each other, you don't know what the situation is, nothing. You know, and that's just on that plane, you know, just on a lot of other planes, you know, we starting to get to the parts of the last year and a half, right? You know, ever since we had the pandemic, right? We knew that was just one part of it. You know what I'm saying? The way people reacted to it mentally and emotionally, that was a whole other part that's not being treated by the vaccine. You know what I'm saying? And the impact that it's had on the economy and on different communities, you know, there's no vaccine for that too. So a lot of the you know, kind of like the secondary effects, I guess, of everything that happened last year is kind of coming out right now, man. It's getting wild. You know what I'm saying? But true self, those degrees that you on right now, you know, those first degrees in the 1 to 40, right, is, you know, where you really start to get into the layers. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, you know, when you on the 1 to 10, right, you get the 196,940,000 square miles. You know, you get the whole thing in the broadest sense of the word. You know what I'm saying? Or in the broadest sense of looking at the planet. But when you get into those first, you know, really 8 degrees in the 1 to 40, you know, now you start to go into the different layers. You start to look at all the different perspectives. You know what I'm saying? Now you got the circumference, you know, where, you know, you can see the well-rounded picture. You understand what I'm saying? You got the diameter. So now you can see beneath the surface. See, the other measurements, those is all surface measurements. You know what I'm saying? You got the land and the water. So you can start to break down the layers of what that means when it's telling you, right, that the earth belongs to the original man. You know, you starting to, you know, you getting into elite low, right? You know, you starting to get into the different layers that you know, is the keys to understanding the lessons, you know what I'm saying, as they are, and understanding how to apply them in your everyday life, right? Because now you see all the different layers and the angles that you can look at situations and circumstances that's in your life. So, you know, those particular degrees, you know, those particular ones, you know, you'll find yourself, you know, constantly referring to those to show and prove things. You know, you got to go into the mathematics. You got to go into the science. Who's this? Kyle Miller. What's going on, Kyle? Welcome to the channel. Hit the like button, subscribe. Where you from out there, Kyle? Are you from New York? So we're just going into some of the things that's been happening, man. You know, there's people, you know, attacking the elderly. Apparently, some people, 2 women, got into a disagreement on the subway, and the one woman started swinging punches. I guess she was swinging at the other woman, and she ended up punching the 2-year-old baby that was sitting on, it was a 2-year-old baby sitting on the lap of one of the women in the altercation. The baby got punched in the face. See, this is really, it's really getting to that level now where, people is losing all knowledge of self and is living a beast life. Like you losing the knowledge, that you're even a person. You're losing the knowledge that another person that you're dealing with is a person. And so now the way you're dealing with them and the equality that we have with each other in society is getting it's getting crazy out there, man. And even within this time right now, it's going to be, it's going to be effects that continue. It's going to be things that continue to affect us. Like how are the kids going to react when it's time to go back to school? Are they going to be prepared to deal, with the purpose that they went there for? Let alone whatever's the new social implications. So Kyle Miller said he's from Boston. All right. Shout out to the brothers up there in Mass. Y'all had a rally today, didn't y'all? Was there a rally up in Massachusetts today? We got Lord Savior came in. But yeah, shout out to the brothers up there in Boston. I mean, in Massachusetts in general, they got, they've been keeping the rallies organized and going up there. From what I understand, it moves around. They don't have it all the time in the same city. You know what I mean? So it brings together the different brothers that's in the state. Free to Be Me says we destroying instead of building. No more wasting time. I mean, you got that right. You know what I'm saying? Because, one thing that you always gotta keep in mind, you know what I'm saying? It's like when a fisherman goes fishing, right? And he puts the fish hook in the water. Okay, he's out there to catch fish. But see, how is it that a fish gets caught though? Anyone? I'm gonna leave that one open to the floor. How is it that a fish gets caught? Carmela said he trying to gain the knowledge, got a 14-year-old son. You know, I would say don't try to gain it. Just gain it. Fly afraid from the Providence plantations. Right, Malik Lowe. Malik Lowe says the fish gets caught by opening his mouth. Right? La Illuminati says open his mouth. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying that to say, right? What I'm saying that to say is that, yeah, we know the devil is here to do his devilishment. But why are you always the one that's paying the price? Like if the devil build prison houses for our people, right? Okay, we know that just like there's a certain percentage of brothers and sisters, right, that have been in the prison house, right? We also know that there's another greater percentage of people who don't even know what the inside of bullpens look like. So why is it that, you know, you got some people, look, we all know those people. Some of us has been that person. It's like, okay, the police come out every day. Why are you the one that's always getting arrested? Why are you the one that's always in the prison house? And see, for a lot of people, until they answer that question for themselves, they always end up back in the prison house. And so you can't really take, you know, you can't take that part out of the equation. That we know it's, you know, we live in a society that doesn't have a lot of justice and equality for us. But even with that being the case, how you relate into that society, right? The things that you're doing is giving people the power. And that's one of the things, you know, the way I see it, you know, we already know what their agenda is. We already know, you know, we've been up against this agenda for 700-800 years. At what point does the not nowadays kick in? Okay, let's say the first 400 or 500 years, right? You fell victim to the interorientation. All right, but what about the last 200? And I'm not, you know, saying that in particular with no events in mind, but just saying it to say that, you know, at some point, it's shame on you. Like how you say, you know, fool me once, shame on you. fool me twice, shame on me. So, you know, while I'm not a person that, you know, going to tell you that, you know, there's not trials and tribulations that we go through, you know what I'm saying? And that there's not people out there who actually survive, you know, off of, you know, your oppression. But I am going to say, well, what did you do about it? But what was the brother's name from Massachusetts? Kyle Miller. You know, that's the thing about this knowledge. You know, once you reach a certain age, so you already, you know, you already got responsibilities that you got to take care of. It's like, you know, you say you got a 14-year-old. I don't know if that's the only one that you got. You know what I'm saying? But see, when you get into knowledge as a, you know, a youth, right, then you mostly just using your knowledge and wisdom to build yourself up, to save your own life. But see, now the knowledge and wisdom that you have, right, you got to save the lives of your family now. So see, with a lot of this stuff, you know what I'm saying? It's you know, it makes it more urgent, and it makes it that much, you know, more dedicated you got to be to it. So, you know, with the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's just something that you got to just, you know, you got to just learn it and manifest it. You know what I'm saying? And like I was saying earlier, you know, don't get caught up in how other people manifest it. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning that right now, you know, you got a 14-year-old son, right? You know, there's 14-year-olds walk around, know the whole 120. Backwards and forwards, understand it, you know, teach it, etc., etc. But what you're looking at when you see that is a final product. You know what I'm saying? Meaning this is after years, months, and days. Especially you dealing with somebody that's 14, they got all day. What you got to get down pat is the principles, and then you learn how to use the principles. You learn how to use the principles, you know what I'm saying, as a blueprint for everything that you're doing. So, you know, just as simple as, you know, when you teaching children, right? He's beyond that age. But I'm saying, you know, you start dealing with the science of mathematics even when you say, look, put your socks on first. Put your socks on first, and then put your shoes on. that's part of the mathematics of getting dressed. It's the same thing with every idea, but where it becomes most important, right? Is see, like, getting dressed or whatever, that's like an external thing. That's something that, you learn. But what about the ideas that come from inside of you? Like your own ideas that you got to bring to fruition, that you got to make a reality. So then you might take it to another level where at 14, he's at that age, like, okay, what is it that you see yourself doing? He's 14 now. What you see yourself doing when you're 28? If you want to do that right there. Okay, what's the steps and stages that you got to go through in order to be successful at that? What's the knowledge that you need to gain? What's the first things that you need to do? Who's the people that you need to associate with, that could be your group of men or society of men, that y'all all got the same common cause that you could be successful around. A lot of times you start to listen to people talking and, they breaking everything down and all these different things, and then you lose track that's what the knowledge is for. We all got our fancy facts that we speak and all that, but, don't get caught up in the wisdom. That no matter how great that wisdom seems right now, it still comes from knowledge. So at these things right here, you know what I'm saying? You just, you gotta realize, at the root of it, at the heart of what we saying is that, the only things that's going to be manifested, right, and become our reality is going to be manifested from arm, leg, arm, head. Meaning it's what you're going to do and what ideas you're going to live out. Ain't none of that other stuff going to happen. At least it hasn't happened in the history of Islam. No savior ever came out of the sky and saved nobody. So once you get that point across, to the young, where they understand that, listen, nothing is going to happen except the things that's based upon your justice, the penalties and rewards for your deeds and actions and inactions. Because sometimes it's something you're supposed to do and you don't do it, and you serve a penalty for that. So that right now, if you tell them, all right, sit down, map this plan out on what it is that you want to do, and then he don't do none of them things, then the life he'd be forced to live then, that's That's your justice. But it comes in time. How long you been studying, Kyle Miller? You still here, Kyle? Keep forgetting we got more lag time. All right, so you haven't been studying. You have a few family members that's Muslim. So, what kind of Muslims? Nation of Islam, Sunni Muslims. You said NOI. You guess you've been out the loop for years. I mean, happens to the best. But so have you been to like, are you in tune with any 5% in your area? Let me throw this link in here just in case you wanna come on the show, come on the live, or anybody for that matter that wants to add on. Free to be me, said, even though we're not Muslims, when they come for Islam, we're included in the roundup. Who you talk about? Well, who come for Islam? Oh, all right. So you should be around the mosque. So if you probably talking about the NOI then. If you know, studying amongst them brought you into contact with us, it's probably the NOI. But you know that's another thing you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's a lot of things that we have knowledge of. You know what I'm saying? Like I know the game hockey exists, right? But I don't play. Not saying that nah, nah, you're not supposed to have to download Zoom. Not from what I've seen. It's like different. Like when you click that link, it takes you to a page with links. But not saying that you're playing with life. But I was just using that example to say that there's a lot of things that you learn about that thing. You see what I'm saying? Like I give the example of a car, right? You could show a 5-year-old baby a car and they look at it and they say, look, that's a car. But they don't know how to drive it. Then you got people that, okay, you know how to drive the car, you got a license and all that, but you don't know how to fix it. You just know how to use the steering wheel and the gas and the brakes and the gear shift. But you don't know how nothing else in there works. See, so there's levels to the knowledge of anything. You know what I mean? From just knowing about a thing all the way to internalizing it and being that thing. So like I said with hockey, yeah, I know hockey exists, but I haven't internalized, right? And lived out the principles of hockey to where one would refer to me as a hockey player. To see, you might do the knowledge to the videos and you learn about certain things, in the way how we do things in this culture of the 5%. But really, getting to the internalizing this knowledge and living out the principles to where you would be referred to as a 5%. These are all things, you got to see for yourself. See, because I'm one of those people who, as far as I'm concerned, you could be a good Christian. Like if you're a good Christian and you live out all the righteous aspects of Christianity, you know what I'm saying, of helping out your fellow man, you know what I'm saying, you know, uh, remaining righteous and all of these things, it's better for you to do that than for you to be a fake 5%. But these is all decisions that, you gotta make those decisions. We got any questions, any other questions in the room before we wind this one down? Had a couple new people come in. Hopefully they did the Each One Teach One. Hit the like button and subscribe. Hit the notification button too for whatever it's worth. You hit the notification button, and on those occasions when YouTube decides to send out my alerts, you might get one. Today's agreeing at 1:36. I mean, the 1:36 is pretty straightforward. Ferry said he misses the whole live because he didn't get. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the notifications. I can't call it. Like I said, hitting the like button, sharing the streams, subscribing. Those are the things that seem to make the alerts go out. But did you have a particular question about, because, I mean, it's kind of straightforward with the mathematics. You know what I'm saying? In the 1:36. Yeah, they don't. I mean, in terms of, they don't know that they're God because the wisdom has been put before the knowledge. The one I cover right there, they're gonna say bye for me. Not raised. I mean, you know something though? We all go through that phase where you ask a question and then you realize, yeah, you know something? I already knew that. I didn't even have to ask you that. You know, that happens. That's a stage on the way to getting the understanding. But yeah, we got any other questions? Yeah, I mean, with me, you got a lot of levels that you could go through. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I try to keep everything as simple. I try to keep everything as simple as possible. When you start drawing things up all over the place, then you really start coming to things, might seem a little more complex. The 136, in general though, is it's a straightforward degree. The layers of understanding, and things, more things being in a fine mist. When you start getting up in your 114 and a 140, that's where you will see a lot of things. That's where you will see a lot of things that is invisible to the naked eye. But at any rate, tomorrow is tomorrow's a big day for us nationally. Tomorrow's a big day, and it's also the civilization class. So quite sure we'll have some questions from the people for tomorrow. 6 o'clock, of course, we'll be back with the civilization class. In the meantime, like I said, do the each one, teach one. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Share this out with the people that you think really need to know. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.